You can't guard me, King. Baby, what you gonna do? Huh? Can't do nothing about it, King.
Delilah!
Come on. Get here. Yeah, Jay, shot. Keep your pose for me. Smile.
Get here! Balance! Get back!
Just play the damn game.
There he is! Yeah! That's me, baby! That's me! I did that! I drew that up! Yeah! Ha ha! Run it again. All right, 1-4. Linda. Wow! All day, baby, all day. Can't stop that.
Hey, Coach, your shoes untied, sir.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Moore. Woo! Look at that bow. Look at that. I tied that shit. Can I get something on the bow? Let me get some. Are you crazy? What is wrong with you? What's wrong with all of you? Since when is winning not enough? Playing hard not enough? No. You have to humiliate your opponent. Taunt him after every score. You won 4 games last season. 4! What gives you the right to take the game that I love with trash talk and taunting? What gives you the right to wear Richmond on your chest and act like punks?
Coach, they were John too.
So? You can't show some class? Act like a champion? You owe me 500 push-ups apiece. On the line. Now!
Oh, man, come on.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, and the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. We're going to do a real quick lesson over pride. There's a big difference between pride and confidence. And I really want the people of Israel, the nation of Israel, to really hear the story and understand the difference between pride and confidence. But first, I'm going to get the definition of pride. It says a feeling of deep pleasure, right? Pride is a feeling of deep pleasure. It says, or satisfaction devoted from one's own achievements. So pride is a satisfaction that's developed from one's own achievements, right? And the synonyms that go into pride is pleasure, joy, delight, right? So let's get this first scripture, the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 18. Sirach 10 and 18.
This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 18. It says, pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that are born of a woman.
Right, so pride was not made for men. It's not made for men. Pride is not made for men. What do we replace? What can pride be replaced with? It can be replaced with confidence. It can be replaced with being thankful. I know a lot of times us living in America, they pervert everything. Everything is perverted. I'm talking about from the things that we're supposed to do, from what we're supposed to wear, to what we're supposed to say. A lot of people say, "I'm proud. I'm proud of you, son. I'm proud of you, daughter." That's not something that we're supposed to be expressing or teaching our children, right? Be thankful that they've done this. Be thankful that they've expressed themselves. That's something that you can tell them instead of being prideful. But a definition, pridefulness is the first step. It's the first step to separate yourself from the Most High, right? That's the first thing to separate yourself from the Most High. And it's all about you. It's not about nobody else but you, right? I did this. It's about a lot like, man, birthdays is prideful. What people wear is prideful. It's a lot of pride that goes behind, a lot of things that you see in this world. I was, talking to my wife, and I was telling her, I said that you see women in tights and those leggings. That's prideful. They want to show their bodies off. You see men walking around in tank tops. You might see that. That's prideful because they're showing themselves off. That's a pride. That's a sense of pride, right? But read that again.
This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 18. Pride was not made for men.
Pride was not made for men. Go ahead.
Nor furious anger.
Nor furious anger. Okay.
For them that are born of a woman.
Right. Them that are born from a woman. So it's talking about everybody. Not one person on this earth was created to express pride. We can express it. That's something. That's a gift or an emotion that we are able to express. But are we supposed to? No. The men of Israel, men, women, and children of Israel is supposed to have a form of self-control. In the scriptures, it's called temperance. That's self-control. You're supposed to have self-control. You're not supposed to express that pride or furious anger, right? So we're going to get to the story. 2 Maccabees chapter 9 and start at verse 4. 2 Maccabees chapter 9, we're going to start at verse 4.
This is 2 Maccabees chapter 9 verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
It says, Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon Jews the disgrace done unto him.
Salakia, let's get this. Salakia, just a second, Israel. We want to get the context of the story. What have you started at?
2 Maccabees.
9 and what?
9 and 4.
9 and 4. Read 3, and you can get it back to me. And then
This is 2 Maccabees chapter 9 verse 3.
Uh-huh.
It says, Now when he came to Ekbanan, news was brought to him that what happened unto Nicanor and Timotheus.
Right.
Timotheus.
So we want to get the person's name. This is about that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia, right? So this is a story about this man called Antiochus, right? And he went into trying to find the Jews because of his anger of the Jews. He wasn't a Jew himself. He wasn't Israel himself, but he was angry about the Jews. He was angry for what the Jews had done, right? So let's read verse 4.
This is verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
Then swollen with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore commanded he his chariot men to drive without ceasing and to dispatch the journey.
Right. So he was so angry that he told his chariot men to drive without ceasing, right? To drive without resting. So they would just continue to drive and drive and drive because he was full of anger. Like the scriptures say in the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 18, what we just read, it said that man was not made for furious anger, right? He was swollen. It says, then swelling with anger, right? He was with anger. He had a lot of anger built up inside of him, and he didn't cause his men to cease, right? He didn't cause his men to rest. Go ahead.
Therefore commanded he his chariot men to drive without ceasing and to dispatch the journey. The judgment of God now following him, for he has spoken proudly in this sort.
So he's spoken proudly, but go ahead. And that's the key word that I want y'all to listen to, because he's a very prideful man. This is a very prideful man. Go ahead.
That he would come to Jerusalem to make it a Slakia. That he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place of the Jews.
He wanted to make Jerusalem a common burial place for the Jews. He wanted this place to be common for the Jews to die, right? To just kill Jews. This is what they were supposed to be. This is what was supposed to be done with the Jews, right? He was so angry. He had furious anger built up inside of him. Go ahead.
Verse 5. But the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague.
Right, so the Most High God of Israel smote him with an incurable and invisible plague. This was an incurable and invisible plague, right? Something you couldn't see and it wasn't able to be cured, right? Go ahead.
Or as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels that was remediless came upon him.
Right. So he started getting painful. He started getting a lot of intense pain in his bowels. Right. Go ahead.
and sore torments of his inner parts.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 6, and that most justly, for he had tormented other men's bowels with many and strange torments.
Right, he said he had sore torments in his inner parts. And this is because of something that he done with other men and their with his devices, with torturing devices, strange torments that he gave to other men. This was a very prideful and evil man, right? He thinking that he was God, okay? And we're going to hear more about that. Check this out. Go ahead.
Verse 7, howbeit he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was filled with pride.
He didn't cease from his bragging. He was always bragging. It says, but still was filled with pride. He's still filled with pride. And the Most High God sees this in everybody, right? He sees your pride. You got to be careful, Israel. Go ahead.
But was still filled with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews.
Man, furious anger. It says he was breathing out fire. It says breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews. Going back to Sirach 10 and verse 18. Pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that were born of a woman. This man was furious. He had both of these traits. And you see this a lot in our people today, right? Because we're following after a perverse nation, a wicked and perverse nation. You're following after people who taught you to be wicked, right? To be prideful. They got it in our song. They got it in everything about them. Pride, right? And anger. And our people are full of that, right? But read that again.
This is verse 7. Howbeit he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was filled with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding to haste the journey. But it come to pass that he fell down from his chariot, carried violently, so that having a sore fall, all the members of his body were much pained.
All the members of his body, from his head to his toe, was in much pain. Why was he in much pain? Because he was furious. He had furious anger in him, and he had pride most of all. That pride, man, is a killer. It will kill you, right? Go ahead.
Verse 8. And thus he that a little afar thought he might command the waves of the sea.
He thought he could command the waves of the sea. This man was so pride. He had so much pride in him. He thought he could command the waves of the sea. Read on.
So proud was he beyond the condition of man.
He was so proud beyond the condition of man, right? That the Most High God smote him with an incurable disease, right? Go ahead.
And weigh the high mountains in a balance, was now cast on the ground and carried in a horse litter, shewing forth unto all the manifest power of God.
John.
Verse 9. So that the worms rose up out of the body of this wicked man.
This man had worms coming out of his body, right? The Most High God smote him with the disease that caused worms coming out of this man's body, right? That's what pride will do for you, right? The Most High God will do that to you for a man that has a lot of pride, man. And you see it all the time. I remember me and you seeing a video of this dude. He had a very prominent future in football. But you could tell that this man had a level of pride in him, and I can't remember what happened, but he got into some kind of accident on the field that caused him that he couldn't play football no more. I don't know if you remember that. You remember that at all? You probably don't. That's okay. But yeah, it was a long time ago. But there was something you could tell this man had a level of pride about him, and that's a common thing in America. Pride is a common thing, man. And you got to pray that thing out of you, man. That's an evil, wicked demon right there. That's an evil demon, man. You got to pray that pride out of you. Fast and pray that thing out, right? But go ahead.
Verse 9. So that the worms rose up out of the body of this wicked man, and whilst he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away.
While he was living, his flesh was falling off of his body. This man was walking dead, right? Literally. He had flesh falling off his body and worms coming out of him, right? That's what the Most High God saw fit for this man. That was pride. He was just so proud, so prideful that he thought he could command the waves, right? Read on.
And his filthiness of his smell was nauseum.
He had filthiness of his smell. This was a horrible smell. And it said it was nauseum, right? Read on.
To all his army.
To all his army. Uh-huh.
Noisome.
It was noisome, Khan. Yeah, it was noisome.
Noisome. All right,
Right.
so like, yeah. Verse 10. And the man that thought a little afar he could reach to the stars
He
of
thought
heaven.
he could reach to the stars of heaven. This is how prideful this man was, right? Go ahead.
No man could endure to carry for his intolerable stink.
They couldn't tolerate his stench, man. That's what the Most High God done to him because of his pride. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Here therefore being plagued, he began to leave off his great pride, and to come to the knowledge of himself by the scourge of God.
Hold on. It says he began to leave off his great pride and to come to the knowledge of himself by the scourge of God, right? He started to see that, hey, this was because of the Most High God. Read on.
His pain increasing every moment.
Uh-huh.
And when he himself could not abide his own smell, he said these words, "It is meet to be subject unto God."
He waited until he couldn't bear himself. He had to sit himself outside. He couldn't tolerate himself. He's like, I can't even take. It wasn't the flesh falling off of his body wasn't enough. This man was so prideful. It wasn't the worms coming out, right? It was he couldn't tolerate his smell enough of his own body. This man was dying, right? And the Most High God allowed him to live through this, right?
Gone.
And it said, read that last part again that you just read.
And his meat, it's like it is meat to be subject unto God.
And he said, it is meat to... Now he started to change his ways, right? Now he wanted to change and show and see, oh, wait, there is a God. I'm not God. There is a God. But you got a lot of men in America that think they're God-like. And they say they're causing their women to think that they're gods. The black woman is God. You telling these people, you telling women that can't even control their own emotions that they are gods, and they're running with that, right? We got to think, man. This is unhealthy. This whole thing is unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead.
Verse 13. This wicked person vowed also unto the Lord, who now no more would have mercy upon him, saying thus.
Now he's vowing to the Lord. Now he's starting to change his ways. Now he's seeing the Most High God has plagued him, and now he wants to change his ways. He wants the Most High God to have mercy on him now. Go ahead.
That the holy city to the which he was going to haste to lay it even with the ground, and to make it a common burying place, he was set a liberty.
Right.
Liberty.
So this place, this holy place, it says that he was going to make it common bury. He was going to make it common to the ground. He was going to make it level to the ground. He was going to level this place, Jerusalem, right? Which he called it a holy city. And then he said that he was going to make it a common burial place. He would set at liberty. Now he's going to set it free. Change his whole mindset about this whole thing, man. Right? But it took that much to change this man's mindset. Right? And we're going to find out what the Most High God did to him. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And as touching the Jews, whom he had just not worthy so much as to be buried, but to be cast out with their children to be devoured of the fowls and wild beasts, he would make them all equals to the citizens of Athens.
Okay. So these people were disgusting and low lives in his eyes. Now he wanted to make them equal citizens to Athens. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 16. In the holy temple which before he had spoiled, he would garnish with goodly gifts, and restore all the holy vessels with many more. And out of his own revenue defray the charges belonging to the sacrifices.
Out of his own revenue, out of his own money, he's starting to change things. Go ahead.
Verse 17. Yea, and that also he would become a Jew himself, and go through all the world that was inhabited, and declare the power of God.
Now he wants to become a Jew himself and declare the power of God, right? Now he wants to do this, right? But he thought he could reach to the stars of heaven. He thought he could change the waves of the sea. He thought he had that power. That was a very prideful man, and he was coming to hurt the children of Israel, the apple of God's eye, right? Go ahead.
Verse 18. But for all this, his pains would not cease.
His pains would not cease. Go ahead.
For the just judgment of God was come upon him. Therefore, despairing of his health, he wrote unto the Jews the letter underwritten.
It says this was a just judgment, right? Because of his pride, because of his high-mindedness. This was the Most High God called this a just judgment. For him to be walking dead, for worms to be coming out of his body, man. Can you imagine pulling a worm out of your eye? You know what I'm saying? Your flesh falling off, stench, right? Your soldiers couldn't even bear to be around you, right? That's a horrible, incurable disease, right? That's what the Bible says. Go ahead.
Verse like it.
At the end of verse 18, containing the form of the sub.
And he wrote unto the Jews the letter underwritten, containing the form of the supplication after this manner. Verse 19, Antiochus. That's it right?
Yeah.
Antiochus, king and governor, to the good Jews, his citizens, wisheth much joy, health, and prosperity.
Okay, we done with that. So you get the point. Antiochus, the king, changed his whole idea. You know what I'm saying? He changed his whole mindset. And the Most High God didn't see it fit for him, for that judgment to leave him. This man lived with that incurable disease until he died, right? We're going to go to the next. Let's go to Sirach chapter 10 and verse 7.
This is Sirach chapter 10 verse 7. Pride is hateful before God.
It says pride is hateful before God. Go ahead.
And man. And both doth one commit iniquity.
Right. So pride is hateful before God and man. I pray that y'all see how wicked pridefulness is. And it's because we were accustomed to pride so much in America, it's easy for us to fall into. That's an easy thing for us to fall into, man. So you really got to be aware. You really got to examine yourself every day, every hour of the day, to see if you have that pridefulness in you. Because you could end up like Antiochus. You know what I'm saying? Lord willing, that don't happen. Lord willing, you examine yourself and stay humble and pray for humility, right? But it says pride is hateful. Pride is hateful before God and man, right? That's why it says pride cannot stand in front of the, roughly paraphrasing, pride cannot stand in the sight of God, right? It can't stand in the sight of God. It's hateful. That is a hateful thing, man. But let's get Sirach chapter 10 and verse 12.
This is Sirach chapter 10 verse 12. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from God, and his heart is turned away from his maker.
Right. So the pride is the beginning of the beginning stages of turning away from God, right? Every sin comes from a level of pride. It comes from a level of pride, man. When people turn away from the truth, they still think they're in the truth, but they want to follow their own way. That's a level of pride. They want to follow after their own hearts now. That's a level of pride, thinking that you know better. You know better than the man that's been in this truth for 36 years. 36 men, not one man, but men, multiple men. You know better. You just got here. You just got here. You just got here. Just got here. And you think you know better than men that's been in the truth for 36 years. How prideful is that? How prideful is that? Right? That's crazy. That's just crazy to me, man. But it says the beginning of pride is when one departeth from God, right? It says, and his heart is turned away from his maker. Your heart turns away from the Most High God that created you when you start to have pride. When you start to have pride, your heart turns away from the Most High, right? Examine yourself, right? Read verse 13.
Verse 13. For pride is the beginning of sin.
Pride is the beginning of sin. Go ahead.
And he that and he that hath it shall pour out abomination.
When you have pride, you're going to pour out abominations. I did this. This is about me. You violated the first commandment, right? You've thou shalt not make no gods before me. You just made yourself a god, and that's what birthdays are. People can't even see how prideful it is to celebrate your own birthday. The Satanic Church has it out there on display that this is the highest form of the satanic ritual for when one celebrates his own birthday, but they still choose to ignore it. They still choose to ignore that fact. And you can bring it out to them. They're still going to celebrate it because of pride. Because it makes little Ray Ray feel good. It makes little Pookie feel good. It makes them happy. Really? That's pride, right? But read that again. Starting at the top, verse 13.
It says 13. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abominations. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities, and overthrew them utterly.
Just like Antiochus brought upon them strange calamities, right? So if you don't change, man, if you don't keep that pride out of you, the Most High God is going to bring forth strange calamities. He's going to bring upon strange calamities upon you, right? And that's something you don't want. You don't want. I promise you don't want it, right? 1 Timothy chapter
5 and 6.
5 and 6. Con.
This is 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 6. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth.
So pleasure, and I showed you in the earlier that the pride, pleasure is a synonym for pride. Pleasure is a synonym for pride. So it says, but she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. Right? She's doing it all for herself. And this goes for men too. Right? This goes for men too. This is all about you. You just all about, it's all you just pleasing yourself. It's nothing but you pleasing yourself at this point. It's all about you. You are God now. Right? It's all about you. Right? I know when you study the gods of Rome and Greece and stuff, they said that their gods could sleep with children because there was nothing off limits to them, right? They could sleep with men, they could sleep with boys, they could sleep with anybody, right? Their gods could sleep with anyone because they was that powerful that nothing was off limit to them. And you start to see that here in America. You start to see that here in America where people are having sexual activities with nature, right? All kinds of abominations. That's why it said earlier, it said that, what did it say? Where is it at? Oh yeah, it says, for pride is the beginning of sin, and he that have it pour out abominations, man. Pour out abominations. America is an abominable place, man. America, it just pours out and it's teaching people to pour out abominations, right? And if you're not careful, you're going to be the same one. You're going to be pouring out abominations too, right? Let's get this last one. Hebrews 11 and 1.
This is Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1. Now faith is the substance of Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Right, so faith is the substance of things hoped for. And I brought this scripture out because I wanted to bring out the definition of faith. It says, faith, it says, complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Again, faith, complete confidence, complete trust or confidence in someone or something. It doesn't say it's yourself. It doesn't say me, right? We're so prideful. We got
selfies, right? American Idol. Don't even see it, right? But it says complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Synonyms: confidence, belief, trust, right? So that's the synonym of faith. It's the same as, it's just like. Confidence is just like, right? So to have confidence in something, there ain't nothing wrong with that. And as a matter of fact, let me get the definition of confidence. It says, the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, firm trust. And in the synonyms, it's got trust, belief, faith, right? So you have faith in someone or something, and that someone is the Most High, Bahashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, in His Son, right? That's who you have faith in. You don't have faith in yourself. You don't have faith in man. You don't have faith in your own strength, like the Bible teaches us. We have faith in Him. We have trust in Him, right? So, man, Lord willing, somebody learned something from this, man. And like I said, it's just a short lesson. So, with that, we're going to give all praise and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, and name His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. So with that, Shalom, Wa Barak Mashpakah.
Shalom.
Shalom.